having knowledge of somebody being very much integrated as a daily personal experience. So I think that's something to reflect on, because if you're going to do things that reveal God, to your point, and you're saying like one day somebody keeps that day holy and another day not holy, right, or whatever, it keeps a day. Yeah, but is what they're doing actually revealing God? Like if you understand God to be the creator and that's what you're convicted on, then what day represents God as the creator, right? So that I think it comes to how much you know and what do you define as knowledge of God that you're revealing. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and to briefly back that up just a little bit, the Hebrew word for know is yada, and Adam yadad Eve, his wife, and she bore a son, right? So the word knew there is being used euphemistically, or in the Hebrew yada is being word euphemistically to refer to the most intimate act one can partake in, right? So now, obviously, don't anybody get overly crass with that. But the point is, you are exactly right. The knowledge is scripturally, when it comes to knowing another individual, is more than simply making their acquaintance. It's intimacy. So yeah, I just wanted to back you up a little bit on there. And by the way, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Can I pass my ideas past you guys?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jared.
Okay. The way I understand it, I'm going to break it down a little bit. The way I understand it, the Greek word for faith, pisteo or pistis, basically means trust based on evidence that results in action. And the way John Calvin kind of summarized it is faith alone that saves, but the kind of faith that saves is never found alone. How do you get this kind of faith or trust in Jesus? Same way you get faith or trust in anybody else, you get to know him. You do that by talking to him. He talks to you. You go out and do things together. Bible study, prayer, mission service, worship, whatever. And then the salvation process is broken down by theologians roughly into justification, sanctification, and glorification. They're all the righteousness of Christ, none of our own, obtained by grace through faith in the work and person of Jesus Christ alone. Justification is the righteousness of Christ imputed to us. It is what saves us into heaven.
Can you believe that this guy's in a cult?
I know. Sanctification is the righteousness of Christ, none of our own, imparted to us, and it results in us living, or we might call that spiritual maturity nowadays, but it results in us living righteously or obeying the commandments as a result of our salvation. And its purpose is to bring glory to God, that they might see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. And it is, again, the righteousness of Christ, none of our own. It's through his power, not ours. And then glorification, sanctification is, justification is freedom from sin's penalty. Sanctification is freedom from sin's power. Then glorification is when we are raised from the dead, and that's freedom from sin's presence. And that also is only by God's power, right? And we can no more justify or sanctify ourselves any more than we can raise ourselves from the dead. And sanctification is a lifetime process. There's such a thing as perfect in birth, but there's also perfect in growth, right? A newly reborn Christian is sanctified. But 20 years later, you expect some kind of progress, but that can be very, very individual depending on the person and their life experience. And again, that's the way I understand it. And I want to emphasize again, it is the righteousness of Christ, none of our own. We don't put out the effort in trying to get better or obey, because obedience is the fruit of faith. We put our effort in getting to know Jesus by talking to him. He talks to us, and we do things together. And as a result, his personality wipes off onto us, and you just tend to do things for him because you can't stand the thought of disappointing him. That's the way I see it. But I'm a legalistic cultist. The end.
I'm curious. Are you Seventh-day Adventist? Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my good friend Jamie here is also a Seventh-day Adventist.
Don't tell them. I love
And
that.
by the way, we know where you live.
That was practically that was like it was like an Esmeraldian or something. That sounded like to me.
Yeah.
No, I think that was a very good explanation, honestly.
But can I ask about this placement of justification, right? Because so, and so I'm glad that you guys are here, and maybe you can help me out. But